And now, with the lighter side of the news, we focus on the world's largest ocean liner that left Southampton, England just this past Friday. That ship, called Titanic, is on her maiden voyage here to New York. She is said to be the largest and the most luxurious ship ever built. In addition to her sheer size and luxury, she has been captained by Edward Smith, one of the most respected captains in transatlantic service. Robert Knowles is on assignment this week. He is on his way to Austria-Hungary aboard the RMS Carpathia. Jeff Franklin is aboard the grand ship herself, Titanic. First we go to Jeff Franklin aboard the Titanic.
Hello, New York, from the Titanic. Everything that has ever been said about the grandness of this ship is actually downplaying it. But I want to start off by talking to someone that keeps the ship running. Here I have Miles O'Brien, a stoker on the Titanic. I see your crew is really moving some coal. What's going on?
The lads upstairs are pushing the engines to the max. Don't you want to set a new record getting her to New York? Nah, no big deal down here. Sure, we can take it in stride. Me and the boys, we have done it before and we will do it again often as necessary.
Now, just how long have you been aboard Titanic?
Me? I sailed her from Belfast to Liverpool when she left the shipyards. When they were recruiting members, I volunteered on the spot.
So you're telling me that you aren't assigned a ship to work?
Nah, none of us are. These crew liners get their crews together right before sailing. Sure, the line for this beauty was the longest I had ever seen. Everyone wanted to serve on this one's maiden voyage. Well, none of us were familiar with the particulars of this ship. Everyone down here knows how to do the job that we've taken. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to get back to shoveling.
Certainly. Thank you, Miles O'Brien. There you go, HBS.
Thank you, Jeff. We now have, from Belfast, Ireland, a member of the shipyard crew that helped build the Titanic. Ronan Powers, are you there?
Hello.
Sir, what can you tell me about the building of the Titanic?
Yeah, she was a beautiful ship to work on. Twice, due to problems with her sister ship, the Olympic, her construction was paused. I mean, sure, some changes were made along the way in her design. The watertight bulkheads are a few feet shorter than they originally were designed, but it should be fine. We used hot steel rivets throughout the ship, except in the bow sections, where we couldn't get the machinery to do it. But cast iron rivets should work just as well. The engines on board are just massive, 15,000 horsepower each. She was built for beauty and luxury, over speed, not like my wife.
Thank you, Ronan Powers. That was a shipyard worker from Belfast, Ireland. He helped build the Titanic. Now we go to Robert Knowles aboard the Carpathia, sailing eastbound for Fiume, Austria-Hungary. Go ahead, Robert.
Thank you, Richard. Not much to report here. Iceberg warnings are out, though. We are gently steaming eastbound, and lookouts are posted all over the ship. Otherwise than that, it's just another night out on the Atlantic.
Thank you, Robert. Now we go back to Jeff Franklin on board the Titanic.
Jeff Franklin here on board Titanic with J. Bruce Ismay, chairman of the White Star Line. Mr. Ismay, we seem to be running rather fast. What can you tell me about that?
Not any faster than normal, really. We're a bit behind schedule, but not enough to worry about. There are icebergs about, but again, nothing to worry about.
What was that?
I don't know. I will find out.
Until we find out what is happening, we go back to Richard Simpson in New York.
We are hearing from the radio room upstairs that there are CQD and a news signal, SOS, reported to be coming from the Titanic. We cannot confirm these calls, nor can our reporter on board Titanic tell us anything at this point. We are getting a signal from Jeff Franklin on board Titanic. Go ahead, Jeff Franklin.
HBS, I have found out that the Titanic has hit an iceberg. Engineers tell me that there is nothing to worry about. This ship is reported to be unsinkable. The crew is now setting off rockets, alerting other ships that we have hit an iceberg.
We interrupt Jeff Franklin with a new report from Robert Knowles aboard the Carpathia.
Thank you, Richard. We are now seeing rockets off in the distance, behind us and to the north. I have no idea what they could possibly be. Some people are saying that they're fireworks. Other people are saying they are coming from the Titanic, as reported by Jeff Franklin.
We are trying to get a hold of Jeff Franklin on Titanic, but we are unable at this time to raise him. To recap, the RMS Titanic, on her maiden voyage from Liverpool, England, bound for New York, has hit an iceberg. Her exact location is unknown. It is reported that there is very little to worry about, as the ship is designed with many safety features to keep her afloat in just such an emergency. We are now getting word from Jeff Franklin. Go ahead, Jeff.
HBS. People are running in all sorts of directions. We are being told to head for the lifeboats. Obviously, women and children are first in line for those boats. This ship is listing horribly to the starboard, and the bow is lower in the water. I can still hear the band playing music to calm the chaos. I will be abandoning my radio equipment and heading for the lifeboats. At this point, I will get in touch with someone as soon as possible. Jeff Franklin out.
Here aboard the Carpathia, we are steaming as fast as we can to the reported last position of the Titanic. Heating and hot water has been turned off for the use of passengers, to allow extra steam to be used by the engines. I've personally seen 4 icebergs from the time that we turned around and started to head towards the Titanic.
To recap, the RMS Titanic has reportedly hit an iceberg in the North Atlantic. The ship's lifeboats are being loaded and dropped at this time just in case. The ship is reportedly unsinkable. Our reporter on board the ship has left the air in order to comply with the ship's orders to abandon the vessel. His radio equipment is still aboard the ship, so we are unaware of the current situation there. We now return to Robert Knowles aboard the Carpathia, which is apparently near the Titanic at this time. And now, Robert Knowles.
We are currently at the last reported location of the Titanic. There are lifeboats and other flotation devices all over the water. There is no sign of the Titanic. People so far have been reporting that the Titanic sank by the bow, and apparently she broke up when the fantail was high above the water. Wait a minute. Is that HBS? I found Jeff Franklin. He was brought aboard the Carpathia. Jeff, are you okay?
I am fine. Give me a few minutes. After watching the sinking of the Titanic, I need to come to terms with what I have seen. It looked like the ship broke up just as she was going down. There is no way that everyone got off the ship. There just weren't enough lifeboats. I just spent the last 2 hours floating on the lid of a piano. Give me a while. I am sure that I won't be left alone when we get back to New York.
Go get warm and something to eat, my friend. I'll talk to you more later. This is Robert Knowles with Jeff Franklin aboard RMS Carpathia, returning to you in New York. Take it away, Richard.
Thank you, Robert. To recap, the unsinkable Titanic has apparently sunk in the North Atlantic after striking an iceberg. The ship is reported to have broken into at least 2 pieces as she went down. Rescue efforts are underway. RMS Carpathia is on the scene picking up victims of the disaster. No casualty reports have come back yet. We will break into regular programming with any news that becomes available. This is Richard Simpson in the History Broadcasting System newsroom in New York, bidding you farewell for now.
This radio show presentation of history with R&R was produced, directed, and edited by Robert Knowles. It was written by Richard Simpson. Casting by Robert Knowles. The cast includes Robert Knowles as himself, Richard Simpson as himself, Jeff Franklin as himself, Mountains of Elysium as Ronan Powers, Darth Revan as Miles O'Brien, Mr. CCTV as J. Bruce Ismay. This is the voice of Peter Whalen speaking. Join us in 2 weeks when we bring you the end of World War I from the front lines.
Damn, that water is cold.